Good morning, DGiT fam. Adam Doud here, putting another month in the rearview mirror. We're breaking hiatus to give you the best of December, plus a little retrospective on the 2010s in general. It's the end of a decade, and with that comes a little insight on just what the heck went down. In 2010, TikTok was the #1 single on Billboard. Today, it's climbing the charts, not as a song, but as an app. See how weird things can get in a decade? So let's get to it. It is December 2019. And this is the month that was. 2020. 2020. Just think about that. It sounds like a dystopian Stanley Kubrick film pitch. But it's not. This is not Back to the Future. As a matter of fact, we're 5 years past Marty McFly's flying cars and the weather service. 2020 is a year that feels like it should be futuristic, and I'm honestly having a hard time wrapping my head around the fact that when I go to bed tonight, it will already be here. So what's the next decade going to hold for us? In truth, it's probably something that's already here. When you consider the biggest technology innovations of the 2010s, it was mostly stuff that was already around in the 2000s, but just hadn't hit its stride yet. Things like Uber, Venmo, Tesla, SpaceX, blockchain. Those are all things that were around going as far back as 2002 in some cases. And today we have the Cybertruck. Forward progress? Yeah. But then consider some other biggies like Tinder, the Apple Watch, Alexa, Minecraft. Those all came out this decade, and the Apple Watch was just a little over 4 years ago. Today it's about the only smartwatch worth talking about. So what does that mean for the decade ahead? Well, it means there really is no telling what will be the next big thing. It might be something developed back in 2011 that's going to find just the right angle to come at the public. Or it might be sitting on someone's kitchen counter right now, getting its finishing touches before going on a world tour of investor shopping. Technology doesn't work on a schedule. It surges forward, then it kind of chills for a bit. Then it surges forward, then it chills for a bit. Clay Christensen's Disruptive Technology says that new advancements start off as toys. It was true for personal computers. It's definitely true for smartphones. So looking around, what are today's toys? You could make an argument for 5G, virtual reality, drones, and flight platforms in general. Remember the dude who flew across the English Channel in a homemade Iron Man suit? The point is, we're living in amazing times right now, and it's only going to get better and better. Technology is transforming the way we live and work in ways that 10 years ago would have been unfathomable. If you had told me in January of 2010 that I would be going to work on December 31st, 2019 at a coffee shop outside my daughter's gymnastics class, I would have said, wait, what daughter? Also, if you had told me that for less than $500, I can strap a headset to my face and fight Darth Vader, or I can put a 2.7K camera at 400 feet in the air, I would have said, no, seriously, what daughter? Honey, do you have something to tell me? Anyway, so what are my predictions for 2030 and beyond? I have none, but I do know it's going to be wild, and I can't wait to get there. So now that we've not only not gone out on a limb, haven't even bothered to get up into the tree, let's take a look back at the December stories that mattered in our Roundup! Privacy reared its ugly head a few times this past month. The New York Times got a chunk of, air quotes, anonymized data and de-anonymized it faster than you can say Edward Snowden. Mostly this pertained to location data and putting those locations together to figure out not only who these people were, but where they lived and what they did with their days. Meanwhile, we also discovered that the $300 55-inch TV that you just bought was only $300 because everything you watch is being fed to third-party advertisers, which is not awesome. While we're on the subject of TVs, we also took a deep dive into Samsung's big bet on quantum dot technology in its upcoming TVs so that it can finally compete with LG in that space. Of course, it's December, so we had to look back on the year that was, and that included Google's year in search, where we learned that everybody over the age of 30 Googled, what is a boomer? We also went back a little further to look at the biggest tech blunders in the 2010s. Samsung's Note 7 was the leader in that inauspicious category. But on the plus side, Android Authority crowned its best smartphone of 2019, the Realme X2 Pro. Don't ask me to explain it. It was an objective by the numbers score. Who are we to judge? In other notable stories this month, we saw Larry Page and Sergey Brin make their unofficial retirements official as they stepped down as co-bigwigs of Alphabet, which is totally different from Google, but it's also totally not. We also saw the release of the Snapdragon's 865 and 765 from Qualcomm's Hawaii event, and we saw a set of solar-powered headphones that you probably shouldn't buy. We also got a glance at Samsung's next clamshell foldable that maybe you should buy. But overall, the best story we saw this month had to be the Pablo Escobar Fold 1, the foldable phone from Roberto Escobar, who said he wanted to take on phone manufacturers and carriers directly and release a $350 folding phone with the help of a website, some firearms, and some Russian models who may or may not have been in some form of distress. But what we do know is that they were all certainly in various stages of undress. It was... well, let's just say it was a spectacle and an absolute study on how not to sell a phone in 2019. Coming up next month, we have CES in Las Vegas from January 7th through January 10th, NRF 2020 in New York from January 11th through the 14th, and the World Economic Forum in Davos from January 21st through the 24th. And doesn't a World Economic Forum sound exciting? But for now, from all of us to you, Happy New Year to all. We'll be back in just a couple of days on January 2nd to resume our fun and foolishness on these airwaves. And speaking of New Year's, my resolution is to read more in 2020, and I'm happy to report that I started early on that, and I'm 185 pages into The Dragon Prince by Melanie Ron. Good stuff. So that's going to do it for our month in review. If you'd like to learn more about any of these stories, check out the links in the show notes and subscribe to our daily newsletter on DGiT.com. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, leave a review, and don't forget to tell your friends about DigitDailyPod.com. Once again, I'm Adam Doud, Dead Technology on Twitter, and we'll talk again on Thursday.